Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Dominicans with respiratory problems told to protect themselves from the effects of Saharan dust. Farmers said to be satisfied with the implementation of a $67 million World Bank project, and Prime Minister's carried appeals to deadbeat fathers to take up their responsibility. The details coming up.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
First up in the news, health authorities are cautioning the wider public to take the necessary measures to safeguard their respiratory health over the next few days. The advice comes as the region is being affected by Saharan dust. According to a press release from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, a thick plume of Saharan dust haze is expected to blanket the island chain over the next few days, resulting in reduced visibility. People with respiratory illnesses should take the necessary precautions to minimize complications. The ministry advises the public to continue using face masks, as has been done for the COVID-19 crisis. Dominicans were also asked to frequently clean surfaces in living areas with a wet cloth and limit outdoor activity. The ministry further recommends individuals have a sufficient supply of meds for their respiratory conditions and drink the recommended 8 to 10 glasses of water daily. Meantime, Senior Met Officer Marshall Alexander says while the Saharan dust haze can suppress the formation of tropical cyclones, this does not change the predictions for the hurricane season. Alexander says the Saharan dust haze, which comes across the area each year, will not last very long and should clear up by Wednesday.
Dust haze actually is dry air, and what dry air does is that it suppresses the development of tropical cyclones in the area where it is present. Right now we have dust haze present in the Atlantic. So while it is present, that is when it would be effective. All right. But one of the conditions for the development of a tropical cyclone is a moist atmosphere. So then if you have a dry atmosphere, then obviously that would suppress tropical cyclone development. As I mentioned earlier, it would suppress the development of tropical cyclone in the area at the time it is present. Okay, so that doesn't mean it would change the hurricane season forecast. Okay, but it would just suppress the development of tropical cyclone activity during the time it is present in an area. The intensity is expected to fluctuate, but we're looking at a gradual reduction in the concentration by around say late Tuesday into Wednesday. That is something that usually happens every year during the hurricane season, because what happens is that we have drier conditions, summertime, and then we have strong winds. Then we have the high pressure system becoming a little stronger, the pressure gradient becoming a little stronger. So we have enhanced winds or stronger winds, which would stir up the Sahara Desert, and then you have the high pressure system moving the winds, moving the dust haze across the Atlantic during the hurricane season.
And satellite imagery shows the Saharan dust haze affecting not just Dominica but a number of neighboring islands. Marshall Alexander explains.
This is a satellite imagery representing the Sahara air layer or dust haze originating from Africa. So here in this loop, well, basically it takes pictures every 3 hours of the area of dust haze. So this would be a representation of Sunday or Sunday night, Saturday night into Sunday morning. So most people, when you wake up Sunday morning, you probably notice the haze. So you have it moving in on Sunday, and then it would continue. And you can see varying intensities based on the colors. So this is Dominica right here. If you can look closely, Dominica is in the middle here. Yes, yes, encompassing the entire Les Antilles, you know, and then move in for the Sunday and into the Monday, and this is the 8 a.m. image as of this morning. Yeah. So as you can see, we are still experiencing the thick haze around Dominica area. So that's Dominica here, that's Guadeloupe, and that's Martinique down here. In that entire space, we don't expect to see the formation of any systems in that area because of the presence of dry air.
This is what the haze looks like up close. Alexander says it can pose difficulties for people who have respiratory problems such as asthma.
If you have any respiratory illnesses like asthma, bronchitis, you know, if you have any allergies, you have to take even more precaution. You know, try to avoid being outside. You know, try to stay indoors and to keep the dust outside of your home. You know, by closing your windows and so on. You know, at that point we can allow ventilation, because if you allow ventilation, then it's just haze you're going to let come into your home.
Due to the conditions, small craft operators are advised to ensure their GPS is operational, as they may experience visibility problems while out at sea during this period. In other news now, the second phase of Cardi's coconut project due to get underway later this year. Here is Andrea Louis with more.
The project, spearheaded by the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, is aimed at providing quality planting material to boost the coconut industry. According to the director of CARDI's Dominica unit, Phase 1 of the project, which ended last year, also looked at developing local capacity to produce quality planting material.
Well, it entailed the provision of planting material, enhancing the human capacity along the value chain to produce and process coconuts, and as well as developing the market linkages across the region.
Dominica's coconut sector, which was virtually destroyed after Hurricane Maria, would greatly benefit from the coconut project. Discussions are underway on how best to roll out Phase 2, which will look at further enhancing Phase 1, as well as introducing new elements.
We are in discussions with the International Trade Center, who is the implementing agency, and CARDI being contracted to provide services for that project. So we are currently in discussions with the International Trade Center for the implementation of the second phase of the coconut project. Currently, we are in the process of recruiting the national coordinator for that project, and the work program under that project. We met with the stakeholders in November 2019 to discuss how the project will be rolled out in Dominica and what the key activities what they should entail.
Owing to the fact that agriculture is a hands-on, face-to-face practice, the Institute is formulating the best way to execute this project under the new measures brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic.
We need to fine-tune those key activities and how they're going to roll out in that post-COVID environment. The situation is going to change the dynamics of how things are done. Because given the fact that for agriculture is a lot of face-to-face interaction, and this may not be what the new situation will be. So we anticipating changes in the modes of delivery for a lot of the activities.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. The Minister for Agriculture says farmers who are taking advantage of a $67 million World Bank facility are satisfied with the program so far. The minister appeared as a guest on the Prime Minister's program and was asked what assurances he could give that farmers were being reached under the World Bank funded project.
As it relates to the World Bank project, in order to benefit from that project, you must apply. You must fill out an expression of interest form under the project. That form, after it's filled out, an extension officer or a team of extension officers along with monitoring officers from the World Bank will visit your farm and verify your holdings. After verification, a team of technical professionals would verify what your application is saying, and your application is approved or disapproved. In instances where your application is disapproved and you're not satisfied as a farmer, you can then apply through the grievance process that is available in the World Bank project. But it is important that I inform the viewers and the listeners, specifically the farmers, that in this program we have zero political influence and interference. Thus, the farmer has been satisfied with the delivery of the program to date.
The Ministry of Agriculture has also taken steps to facilitate farmers who have land ownership issues.
We have written to the World Bank and we have asked that they modify the program so that farmers who had land issues could benefit. So in terms of the requirement for land, that has been replaced with a receipt that you have been selling to either Dexia or another supermarket, or you have been a farmer and you have owned, or you are a holder of a produce seller's license. So what we have seen over the last few weeks is an increase in terms of the number of persons who have expressed interest. So what I would like to urge the farmers who have not applied because of that difficulty, they should go into the extension office. Forms are available across the country for filling out.
He was asked what the ministry was putting in place to ensure that this $67 million investment had a lasting impact on the economy.
A key component of the program is monitoring and evaluation. So we have monitoring officers who go out to the farms constantly after you have received your package and benefited from the project. So they would go out and they will continue training you in how do you apply your fertilizer and so on. They will take out a record of your yield so that to ensure that, okay, I was at 1,000 pounds before, I moved to 2,000 pounds. That sort of measurement is being done. Also, it's important that we emphasize that as it is now, under the program, persons are receiving packages of up to $20,000. That is an investment in the farm. We know if you save money, you earn money. And that is putting back money into the farm that you could have done other things with.
The minister was also quizzed on what his ministry was doing to get more young people involved in farming and fishing.
In terms of benefits from the government, over the years, in terms of fishing, we have seen substantial investment in terms of boats. So for instance, over the last 5 years, we had several boats being built locally, and these cost in the region of between $20,000 and $30,000. We would also provide engines to the young fishermen. So for a young fisherman deciding to go into fishing, you will have received a $35,000 investment in the initial stages. So what does that mean? On your first catch, you could now save money, feed your family, and have money set aside for fuel without any overheads outside of what you would have on a daily basis, because you have no loan. And these are the kind of investments the government has been making in terms of fishing. In terms of agriculture, as it is now, there is still money available at the aid bank at 2%. So persons who are interested could apply under that facility. A lot of the young people have been complaining that we do not have lands, or I do not have access to lands. We have been working with the Ministry of Lands to identify areas that have been designated for farming. So if a young person, for instance, in the area of Wesleywood Fortel is interested in farming, they could fill out an application with lands and surveys, and then a piece of land of 2-3 acres could be assigned to them for that purpose. So we provide you with low-cost financing, we provide you with the land, and occasionally we provide you with inputs in the event that you're looking at to
and my understanding
to
is
start
that these lands will be leased to these young people at $1 per annum.
September 2020, the due date for the reopening of the Respite Centre in Portsmouth. We go again to Andrea Louis for more.
The Respite Centre in Portsmouth was created as a daycare facility for physically and mentally challenged children in the north of the country. The centre opened in 2016, stopped operations in 2017 due to the building's use as an emergency shelter after Hurricane Maria. Several deadlines were given for the resumption of operations at the centre, however, these were not met. Most recently, the COVID-19 crisis also delayed the reopening of the centre. Chairman of the Parents Advocating for the Inclusion of Children with Disabilities in Society, PASSIS, Ainsworth Irish, says a new date has been set for children and staff to return to the facility.
Actually, the centre should have been open in May, but again, because of COVID, we had to put that up to September, and that gives us the window of opportunity to discuss and look at things in terms of charting the way forward. We want to ensure that we come back on solid footing. We'll be doing our recruiting of staff soon, because as you know, most of the staff, well, they were not, I wouldn't say laid off, some of them got other jobs because of the force majeure during the hurricane. Of course, they had to, there was no work, the place was closed. But certainly I can tell you there's a new impetus. We are very hopeful that we'll open in September, and we are doing all the necessary logistical things to make sure that we can move smashing in September.
The plan for the reopening of the centre is to upgrade its functions from pre-Hurricane Maria times.
We're looking at a more aggressive education component. As you know, we want to register as an education component is a respite center where children with disabilities come in. But of course, these children, despite the disability, they have the ability to do a lot of things. So we want to do sewing, we want to teach them a little basic, numeracy if you want, little reading, writing and stuff like that. Some of them have the ability, and of course we want to have a strong management structure to ensure safety and security and that sort of thing. And of course a balanced diet, some of the things we want to look into it.
Social distancing measures in place due to COVID-19 may affect how many children benefit from the services of the Respite Centre.
At the time we had about 12 to 15 children, and now all the protocol, you've been told that 10 or so. But then I think we will put the mechanisms in place to ensure that that kind of course, they are challenged children, but we'll have the mechanism in place because we're going to employ caregivers and persons. They will be trained themselves in terms of the various protocols. It's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be 100% soundproof. You cannot retard the progress of the development of the country and say, well, it's COVID-19 and everything comes on the back burner. We just have to make sure that we are creative and all the ideas contend to ensure that we make it as secure and safe as possible.
And an appeal to fathers to be present in their children's lives, not just materially but emotionally as well. The Prime Minister has made the appeal against the background of Father's Day celebrated around the world on Sunday. He highlighted those fathers who work hard to feed, clothe and educate their children and called on those fathers who are slacking off to take up their responsibilities.
A father's role in a child's life is indispensable. If it means paying up because the court has mandated you to do so, then do it. Make sure your child support payment is in at the end of the month. But really, it should not have to get to that stage of mothers taking us to court. Take up your responsibilities from day one so that your child is always given the best. But more importantly, I encourage us fathers to be there emotionally for our children. Let us show them love and affection. Material support is good and necessary, but it is not all. Let us show our children always that they are valued, so that they can develop into confident, well-adjusted members of our society.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Dominicans with respiratory problems told to protect themselves from the effects of Saharan dust. Farmers said to be satisfied with the implementation of a $67 million World Bank project. And Prime Minister scared appeals to deadbeat fathers to take up their responsibility. You may access the news on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.